Okay, the time is now 7 o'clock, and I call the Select Board meeting of February 9th, 2021 into order. Chairman Alonso is not with us tonight, and as Vice Chairman of the Board, I will be facilitating tonight's meeting. I recognize that our clerk, Selectman Adams, is in attendance, as well as members Selectman Marino and Selectman Dwyer. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access channel. The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Massachusetts Department of Health, and CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread. Excuse me, my screen just disappeared. And all town facilities are open by appointment only. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. This meeting will be broadcast live through local access cable on YouTube Live, and the recording of tonight's meeting will be available on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting has completed. For members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely using a smartphone, computer, or tablet, please use the Zoom application and enter meeting ID number 909-174-0347. The Zoom link is also available on the agenda as posted online on the town calendar. If you'd like to participate using a telephone, please dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter webinar ID 909-174-0347. Please note that no participant ID is needed. Just press hashtag or the number sign when asked. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. And I will ask Clerk Selectman Adams to lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comments from the board tonight? Selectman Adams.
Hi, sure. I have two comments tonight, or maybe concerns. My first one is in regards to the expansion of the water district. I attended that meeting, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, tomorrow, for the expansion of the district. The article failed, I believe it was 28-11. So it was a pretty good turnout, 39 folks when you think of how small town meeting can be. And then on their agenda for tomorrow, the developer is still seeking to bring water to the project. And so from a municipal perspective, this concern had been raised previously, worried about the pavement moratorium on Chase Road. And then the other roads that would be affected are outside of the 5 years, but still, I think it was 2015. So still newly paved roads. And so my trying to be concise with the purpose of my comment is that that meeting was I thought it was a great turnout and a good meeting. And the outcome was no, there was not an interest in expanding the water district. On top of that, many residents from Howard Street attended the meeting and were not interested in the water being brought to their street. And so I really hope we can look into the pavement moratorium, sort of make some communication with the water department regarding issues like the pavement, because now the water district has voted no. The residents of Howard Street aren't interested in the project coming. So the only person benefiting from tearing up 3 miles of newly paved roads would be the developer. He has permission to do 120 lots with septics and wells. If there's not an emergency, nobody is supposed to go into newly paved roads. So I think it's time now that we've had the meeting. The expansion was voted no. I think it's time to talk about our roads and our moratoriums and our rules, because tomorrow night the developer still seeks to bring water to his property, aside from everything that's going on. So I don't know if we can meet with the water department or what your thoughts will be. But I wanted to do it as a form of board comment at the beginning, because I think there's a lot going on here in regards to our roads, and we should start to be involved in the conversation as they are continuing to have it. My second comment is in regards to Greenleaf Botanicals. I attended the community outreach meeting last Thursday night on Zoom. I think there were about 3 or 4 participants that weren't either involved with Greenleaf or Heather, myself, Tom, Adam, Bernie. I thought it was a very poor turnout. I thought it was a very poor meeting. And it certainly didn't meet, my concept of what community outreach should look like for a project like this. So that was, one concern I wanted to comment about. But my secondary reason for bringing it up as a board comment is the land use director had a lot to say at the planning board meeting last night that I was listening to in regards to the selectmen working on the community host agreement, and that drafts have gone to the town council and Attorney Federoff. And again, I was sitting there listening, thinking, we haven't discussed community host agreement. We haven't been working on this as selectmen. And so I just feel like there's a real lack of communication. A lot of this disappoints me because the intent of the community outreach meetings, the community host agreement, is to have Lunenburg involved in the conversation. And it seems like things will start moving along and we're missing the opportunity to communicate. And so I just wanted to mention that. I was surprised to hear that the community host agreements had some drafts and it's been worked on and we haven't had it on our agenda.
Well, I appreciate your comments tonight, Selectman Adams, and thank you for being on top of the water district concern. I think that a lot of residents share concerns about that project, and also for your follow-up. I expect the town manager to have an update. I know as far as the Greenleaf meeting goes, I know that many residents were not able to participate as well as they wanted to and attend. So to the town manager, 2 questions. If you wouldn't mind just identifying when the next meeting will be, and also do we have on the upcoming agenda to discuss the community host agreement with Greenleaf?
So the board did discuss the community host agreement at a previous meeting. Those comments and concerns were forwarded to town council. And so that's the draft that Mr. Bernie is speaking to, everything that the board discussed at the last meeting when they discussed it. So it's not outside of that. The next meeting, we wanted to, when I talked to the chairman, Alonzo, about the next meeting, it was to be after the community outreach meeting. So given further update on that, and after Thursday's meeting, and I agree that the lack of attendance and accessibility for that meeting were poor. So I reached out to Greenleaf, both Mary Bentley and Attorney Paholak, after that meeting. And I spoke with them today on the phone, and they agreed to another community outreach meeting. That potential date would be Wednesday, March 10th at 7 p.m. And I offered that they could use our Zoom account, and we'd give them that meeting invitation information, as well as the toll-free number that could be advertised when they renotice and re-advertise. So that will hopefully potentially increase attendance and accessibility.
All right, thank you for that. And Selectman Adams, I will follow up with Chairman Alonzo to ensure that we have it on our agenda following that March the 10th meeting. Are there any other board comments, public comments from the board tonight? Seeing none, are there any public comments from the public? Seeing none, town manager for announcements tonight.
Yes, just one announcement from the MBTA. They're planning some service changes and schedule changes that would go into effect in March and April. And they plan on holding service change virtual public meetings on February 17th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and February 24th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we will put this on our website and circulate it through the townwide email and send it to the Lunenburg Ledger as well, with that information on how to attend the virtual public meeting. The other update I just want to give that the cable has been working on the issues with live broadcast. They thought they had found the issue, but appears not completely resolved. So hoping tonight there are no issues. They did a test live meeting earlier today, and I think they resolved a flashing issue that was occurring during live broadcast. But if there's any resolution issues or sound issues, if I ask people to call in or contact someone on the board or through my town email account, monitor.
Okay. Well, thank you for those announcements, and I think we're all going to benefit from the this channel being broadcast and those issues being resolved. So moving on with our agenda, we have an appointment for a common victual license hearing for Voyage Nutrition with Jonathan Fournette, who I do see in attendance with us tonight, for 5 Summer Street, number 10. To the town manager, have you had the chance to review all the documents, and can you verify that everything is in order?
Everything is in order, yes.
All right, and to John, if you wouldn't mind just explaining a little bit about your business and what brings you here tonight.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay. It's nice to meet all of you, first of all, and I look forward to joining the Lunenburg community. Voyage Nutrition is actually my second nutrition club. I have one currently up and running, just celebrated its first year anniversary on Grafton Street in Worcester. That's called Uphill Nutrition. So what it is, it's a parent company to Herbalife Nutrition. So we offer everything from daily nutrition to weight loss to weight gain, an entire performance structure. And what we use the nutrition clubs for is a hub to kind of reach out to the community, get the community involved. It kind of becomes a little bit of a community center is the biggest goal. That's what I look towards working towards for it. As well as what it offers is everything that we sell as Herbalife Nutrition is actually available to the public for consumption. So the easiest way to describe it is if you went in the same way you go into Dunkin' Donuts and you order a large iced coffee, I have a protein-based iced coffee that you would come in and you would order, and you can leave and consume it, or you can actually purchase the product that goes into that and make it yourself at home. So we try to make it an on-the-go convenience, as nutrition tends to not necessarily be that easy as on the go. We try to make it as easy as possible. We also offer a lot of different shake variations, protein-based shakes, performance-based shakes, and then a lot of metabolism teas and weight loss teas as well. That's kind of a very quick snapshot of what we have to offer. So yeah.
And what will your hours of operation be?
So my goal in the beginning is going to be Monday through Saturday. Monday through Friday will be 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. To start. And then Saturdays will be 8 to 12. And then as we move towards the future and we get established, we'll be open 7 days a week. We'll be adding Sunday, and it will be the same hours. It'll be 8 to 12. I do look towards kind of allowing the community to base what my hours will be. That is kind of my next 6 months as far as hours go, so I can get established in the community. But we obviously want to make it as easy for the customer to come in and get what they need. So if the customer says, hey, we would like, we would like dinner to be able to be served, and we'll be open till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. In my club in Worcester, we actually have Wednesday and Thursdays, we're open till 8 p.m. Just because there's a gym the next door over from us is a Planet Fitness. So we try to cater to that customer as well, but those will be my starting hours or what I'll be opening with.
Okay, well, thank you. I'd like to open it to the rest of the board for questions. Well, I consider that a successful presentation then, John. I will entertain a motion to approve the common victual license for Voyage Nutrition at 5 Summer Street, number 10.
I make a motion. I make a motion to approve the common victualler license for Voyage Nutrition at 5 Summer Street, number 10.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Selectman Adams,
Aye.
Selectman Marino,
Aye.
Selectman Dwyer,
Aye.
and an aye for myself. So thank you, John. Please follow up with the town manager and our office to retrieve your license.
Will do. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, to the town manager, interviews, appointments, reappointments, and resignations. Do we have any?
There are none tonight.
Okay. Current business. First current business we have tonight is the town manager's fiscal year 22 preliminary budget presentation. I believe remote meeting coordinator Neil's going to assist with this, so I will pass along host to him.
Okay. Thank you, Neil. So this is the preliminary presentation, budget presentation and recommendation for the FY22 budget. Next slide, please. So the process started out with the Capital Planning Committee meeting in September, and they met with departments in November and December of 2020. I sent target budgets to departments in December that were due back January 7th. And the Capital Planning Committee finalized their prioritization of projects for the FY22 Capital Plan on January 5th. And I presented the fiscal 22 Capital Plan recommendation and the 5-year financial forecast the week of January 18th. And as required by town charter, I'm presenting tonight the preliminary FY22 budget. The goal in preparing the FY22 budget was to create a balanced budget that funds operating budgets using recurring revenues at the current service levels, with some exceptions. The original target budget used in December and the preliminary budget used conservative revenue projections. It also meets all the town's financial policies. Certified free cash was not used on the operating budget, and it abides by the town's financial policies as follows. It uses $688,825 of free cash towards capital, $180,418 of free cash towards the OPEB liability costs, which per our town policy is 10% of the previous year's certified free cash, and deposits $100,000 of free cash into the regular stabilization account. This budget recommendation also proposes to establish a health insurance stabilization fund to prepare for the fiscal 23 increase due to 2 years of significant savings from the holiday health insurance premiums. So the budget baseline is built upon the target budget, and slides will review what was included on both the revenue side and expenditure side on the target budget. On the revenue side, we started with property taxes, included adding 2.5% to the previous year's levy, $280,590 for new growth, and the debt exclusion amounts. For state aid, it level funded state aid based on the fiscal 21 state aid figures that were approved by the legislature in December of 2020. For local receipts, included a $50,000 increase over the previous fiscal year's estimate for motor vehicle excise taxes, but level funded all other local receipts. And for other available funds, the target budget did not address use of free cash, and other sources of available funds is similar to the previous fiscal year sources. On the expenditure side, it level funded cherry sheet offsets, state and county charges, and choice and charter assessments using fiscal 21 amounts. And departments were sent target budgets in December that included all known contractual increases and level funded other expense categories, except it included costs associated with adding an additional full-time patrolman and a full-time career firefighter, an additional $50,000 for pavement management, the known principal and interest debt payments for fiscal 22, and included a 3% rate increase for health insurance for active employees and a 5% rate increase for retirees, a 5% increase for general insurances, and included a 10% increase for Worcester County retirement, and included a 2.5% increase for the Lunenburg Public Schools and Monty Tech, and a 15% increase for solid waste recycling disposal program costs. There are still some unknowns on the revenue side. This preliminary budget uses the governor's proposal for state aid, which is an overall increase of 0.17% from the fiscal 21 state aid figure approved in December. New growth is also estimated at $280,590 based on current building permits and new growth for personal property accounts. On the expenditure side, we are awaiting our final health, liability, and workers' comp insurance renewal costs. We do know that we can level fund the police and fire injured on duty insurance. Both the target budget and preliminary budget reflect a 3% rate increase for health insurance for active, 5% for retirees. The Monty Tech assessment assumes a 2.5% increase, but we will have our actual assessment by the beginning of March. Another unknown at this point is the cost for the solid waste and recycling program. Our current contract expires on June 30th, and we will be going out to bid in the near future to have a new contract beginning on July 1st. So far, we are faring well with our snow and ice budget, and we have been able to cover deficits in previous years with interdepartmental transfers, but there is currently $834,942 of unexpended free cash in the preliminary budget that could cover any remaining deficits. When we look at our revenues, our projected revenues for fiscal 22, there are 4 sources of revenues for the town that include property tax, state aid money, local receipts, and other available funds. Property tax includes residential, commercial, industrial, and personal property tax. State aid includes Chapter 70, public elementary and secondary school funding, unrestricted general government aid, among other categories. Local receipts includes motor vehicle excise taxes, penalties and interest collected by the tax collector, fees from various permits and licenses by different departments, ambulance fees, solar net metering payments, fines, and the local option meals tax. Other available funds include free cash, which is the unexpended balance from the previous fiscal year as certified by the Department of Revenue, indirect costs charged back to the sewer for employee costs, town services and their debt payments, indirect costs charged back to the public access enterprise for employee costs, revenue from artificial turf revolving fund, and the payment from MSBA for an old school project. This chart shows a breakdown of revenue source by percentage. Property taxes are our largest single revenue source at approximately 66% of our total revenues. State aid is our second largest revenue source at 21% of our total revenues. Local receipts is 7%, and available funds makes up 6% of our total available revenue. Some noteworthy highlights for fiscal 22. The governor's state aid proposal is less than the fiscal 21 increase. The estimate for local receipts is more conservative than previous fiscal years due to current economic times, and these being elastic revenues. Available funds reflects an increase from the previous fiscal year. The current recommendation calls for use of slightly more free cash than the previous year and currently recommends using funds from the Special Purpose Stabilization Fund towards a large vehicle purchase in the fiscal 22 capital plan. When we look at revenues from property taxes, we take the prior year base at a maximum of 2.5% increase per Proposition 2.5, add in an estimate for our property tax new growth, and include the debt exclusions for the school and pavement management project to obtain the maximum allowable tax levy for fiscal 22. This is a slide with a 5-year history of our new growth. The estimate being used for new growth right now is $280,590, and we will continue to monitor this and adjust upwards or downwards as we get closer to town meeting. This budget recommendation includes the governor's state aid proposal, which was released on January 27th. The budget proposal provides for an additional $49,680 in Chapter 70 funds, which is a 0.6% increase, and an additional $39,302 in unrestricted general government aid, which is a 3.5% increase. The total estimate for fiscal 22 is $9,444,372, which is an increase of 0.17% over the final fiscal 21 state aid that was approved in December 2020, and is an increase of 1.45% over the fiscal 21 final budget that was approved at the fall special town meeting. And that's due to the state aid number being finalized after our town meeting. This slide shows a history of state aid over 10 years and the estimate being used for fiscal 22. Local receipts is the next slide. Is another category of revenue, and the estimate being used for local receipts for fiscal 22 is an increase of 1.6% or $50,000 over the previous year's estimate. Here's a slide detailing the actual receipts from fiscal 19 and fiscal 20 and the estimates used for fiscal 21 and fiscal 22. The finance director has been closely monitoring our revenues this year compared to the same quarters last fiscal year. Our revenues overall are trending at about 3% higher so far at this point than last year, and local receipts are trending at about 9% higher than last year at this time. Although we just had a motor vehicle commitment that was approximately $90,000 less than the same commitment last year. So we feel maintaining a conservative local receipt estimate at this time is prudent. We will continue to monitor our local receipts closely and make any appropriate adjustments.
Before we move to the next slide, can the remote coordinator just move the mouse so we can see what those bottom numbers are? Is
that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Next slide is available funds. Revenue estimates for available funds includes the use of $969,243 from certified free cash that is available for appropriation to offset the fiscal 22 capital plan, makes a deposit into the OPEB trust fund, and deposits funds into the regular stabilization account. It also includes transferring $211,000 from the special purpose stabilization fund to pay for a large DPW vehicle in the fiscal 22 capital plan. The MSBA reimbursement amount of $534,779 is included for an old school building project reimbursement, and the indirect cost for town services and debt payments attributed to the sewer enterprise, water enterprise, and the cable access enterprise are included, as well as the use of $44,318 from the artificial turf revolving fund to pay for associated costs for the artificial turf fund debt for fiscal 22. This slide is a breakdown of other available funds being used to fund the fiscal 22 budget. I think you skipped over, sorry. That was the previous. Yes. Oop. The next slide. That's just a breakdown of all the available funds being used for fiscal 22. Next slide, please. So grants, donations, earmarks, and federal and state funding or other revenue sources that are outside of the operational budget that provide resources to address town needs, programs, capital projects, and relief funds for meeting state and federal requirements. This is a list from fiscal 21 of all the types of grants, donations, earmarks, and federal and state funding. I won't go through each category. There's the next slide is also a detail of the various those revenue sources that are outside the operational budget. Next slide, please. And we go on to expenditures. Expenditures are a reflection of the cost of providing a level of services to residents of all ages in our community, to visitors traveling or doing business in Lunenburg, and maintaining or improving our assets. As a town, we provide services to students, we provide health and human services to seniors and veterans, recreational services, and public safety to all. The balance is provide the best level of services given the available resources, maintain our assets, and put aside funding for anticipated capital and into our rainy day fund. The expenditures are divided into functional categories that include general government, central purchasing, police, fire, other protection, DPW, solid waste, health and sanitation, council on aging, veterans, the Lunenburg Public Schools, Money Tech, the library, debt service, unclassified general government, and the retirement assessment. It also includes cherry sheet offset charges and state and county charges. Also on the expenditure side is the sewer enterprise, solid waste enterprise, and cable access enterprise. The capital requests and other warrant articles that may have a financial impact also have to be included on the expenditure side, but are proposed to be offset by free cash. In December, departments were sent budget documents and were asked to meet a target budget that included known contractual increases for union employees, increases per the salary administration plan for non-union employees, and increases for staff with contractual agreements that were in place, and level funded all expense categories. The target budget included $35,000 additional funding for a patrol officer, $81,000 for an additional career firefighter, $50,000 for pavement management, $528,000 or 2.5% increase for the Lunenburg Public Schools, $22,000 additionally for Money Tech for a 2.5% increase, $150,000 for Worcester Regional Retirement, which equates to a 10% increase, and $179,000 more in health insurance, and $30,000 or 15% increase for the solid waste recycling program. When departments submitted their budgets back, there were above target requests. This slide highlights those above target requests. For general government, there was 23,000 in above target requests that included additional hours for the assistant town clerk. This is the second year that's been requested. Increased software costs under IT, and $9,000 for a part-time board and committee clerk position. For the police, included additional $15,000 more than target, mostly because of the shift differential line and additional funds in patrolman salaries line to fill a vacant detective position. The fire department included additional $22,000 more than target to increase firefighter training line, increase the annual replacement line for turnout gear by $10,000, and small increases in other lines. For facilities, it included $43,000 more than the target to restore a facilities position. Under the DPW, included $24,000 more than the target for cemetery, $39,000 more to restore an assistant mechanic position, $28,000 more for snow removal, and $3,000 more for highway overtime. For the library, included $24,000 more than the target for increases across most of their accounts. And the Lunenburg Public Schools, the total original request from the superintendent's proposed budget, which was a 3.23% increase, was $154,000 more than the target. The preliminary budget that is being presented tonight by category includes, for general government, funding the target and above target requests for additional hours for the assistant town clerk, the increase in software costs, and the board and committee clerk position. For the police, it funds the target budget and the above target for their shift differential and filling the vacant detective position. For the fire department, it funds the target budget and $21,000 of the above target requests. For facilities, includes additional $50,000 for a facilities position. And just a note on that, in fiscal 20, the budget shifted funds from a vacant facilities position to contracted services. And this would restore the department back to 2 staff members. For DPW, includes an additional $50,000 for pavement management, an additional $3,000 for overtime, an additional $23,000 for cemetery. It does not fund the assistant town mechanic or additional funds for snow removal. For Worcester Regional Retirement, our assessment came in lower than the 10%. It came in at a 1.92% or $29,000 more than the previous fiscal year. Our health insurance, like I've stated, included a 3% rate increase for active and 5% rate increase for retirees. And our insurance company announced the holiday premium that will reduce our town line by $110,000 with an overall increase to that line of $94,392. For the Lunenburg Public Schools, the recommendation fully funds the superintendent's proposed budget, given the estimated $239,000 savings through the holiday premium. And for the solid waste recycling program, it maintains the 15% increase as an estimate. The overall fiscal 22 budget for operating expenses is projected to increase by $1,106,109, with the largest increase for the Lunenburg Public Schools, which is approximately 47% of that figure, that increase. The next highest is for the fire department, which is 13% of the increase. And unclassified general government is 12% of the increase. Also noteworthy is the debt service is decreasing by $136,928. This slide shows how each category of general fund expenditures increased over the previous fiscal year.
Would you mind going back to that previous slide?
Any questions on this slide?
No, thank you.
All right. This slide is a breakdown of the total debt service for fiscal 22. Debt service for fiscal 22 will be $4,562,594, which includes general fund debt, sewer-related debt, water-related debt, the MSBA school project debt, and exempt debt. This slide shows our current debt schedule, and the preliminary budget does not include any new borrowing, and our actual debt is decreasing, like I said, $136,927 at this time. If we look at our current debt schedule and how it aligns with our debt policy, that limits our non-exempt borrowing to 4% of our tax levy, and our exempt non-exempt borrowing combined to no more than 14% of our tax levy, we are currently below the limit for each of the thresholds in our financial policy. So for expenditures, non-discretionary expenditures includes insurance estimates. Our liability and workers' comp includes a 4% estimated increase. Our actual renewals are received in March. The police and fire injured on duty insurance is level funded, and the health insurance is estimated the 3% rate increase for active and 5% for retirees. This past fall, we participated in a post-65 program, which moved a small number of employees that weren't eligible for free Medicare Part A because they didn't contribute to Social Security over to retiree plans. And by participating in this program, it reduced our active renewal rate by 2%, and it will reduce our total claims under our active plans and reduces our OPEB liability by an estimated $5 to $6 million. Just to point out how much a breakdown of our health insurance budget, 37% of the health insurance is for active town employees, 17% is retiree health insurance for town employees, and 47% of that figure is retiree health insurance for school employees. Without the holiday premium, the active portion is approximately $943,000 out of the $2.55 million, and school retirees account for $1.193 million, and town retirees account for $417,000. Retirees renewal is based on a calendar year, and that's what the 5% increase is based on. We'll receive our actual health insurance renewals by the end of February. This next slide is all about the rate renewal range that was released. So on January 22nd at the annual MMA meeting, the My Health Trust received their range, which ranged from a minus 0.6% with an average of 2.9% increase and a maximum of a 6.8%, and that they would be offering the premium holiday. And that's a breakdown of the estimated savings for each category of health insurance. And due to this, this health insurance holiday premium, I'm proposing that we create a health insurance stabilization fund with unappropriated tax revenues to offset the potential increase in fiscal 23 to our health insurance. And I think this will create fiscal sustainability for this expense going forward. This slide is a summary of the member data for our Worcester County Retirement Assessment. We have 168.57 active members with an average age of 45.6, an average service of 8.7 years, with a total valuation of salaries at $6,631,003, and an average salary of $38,778. We have 95 retirees and beneficiaries with an average age of 73.5, a total annual pension of $1,942,829, and an average annual pension of $20,451. We have 3 accidental disabled members with an average age of 75.6, a total pension amount of $77,886, and an average pension of $25,962. We have 1 disabled member that's age is 54.7 with an annual pension cost of $6,828, and 51 inactive members with a value of $715,773. The fiscal 22 retirement assessment is $28,926 higher than the fiscal 21 assessment, or a 1.92% increase. And the increases and decreases in assessments are driven by the normal employer costs, which are the costs of benefits earned during the year, and the amortization for the unfunded accrued liability. The valuations for the Worcester County Regional Retirement Assessments are done every 2 years, and the assessment for fiscal 22 and 23 are based on valuation results as of January 1st, 2020. Valuation results are based on active member data, which includes their compensation, date of birth, membership data, gender, and member contribution, and retiree member data, the value of the assets, and the actuarial accrued liability for liabilities that were accrued, but the community was not required to fund before the law was changed in 1988. If you look at a breakdown of our fiscal 22 assessment, which is the employer normal costs, and the payment of our unfunded actual accrued liability, we also receive an early payment discount of $28,213 if we pay this on July 1st. And our payment for the unfunded accrued liability will end in 2036. Next slide. This slide shows the breakout of our assessment, separating out the assessments for town, sewer, school, and staff that was both town and school. So 62.7% is town, 35.6% is school, and 0.97% is sewer, and 0.73% is town and school. Next slide. Another expenditure is non-appropriated expenditures, which both cherry sheet charges and cherry sheet offsets and funds for the overlay and tax title make up these non-appropriated expenditures. And just noteworthy highlights, both the cherry sheet charges and cherry sheet offsets have decreased from the previous fiscal year. And the overlay account is funded at $120,000 and tax title is level funded. Next slide. Another category of expenditures are warrant articles that relate to the fiscal 22 capital plan, transfer of funds to the OPEB trust fund, continue addressing the town's unfunded liability, and a deposit into the regular stabilization per the town's financial policy. The fiscal 22 capital plan recommendation includes funding for all the priority recommendations made by the Capital Planning Committee. And they received 23 capital requests for a total of $2.5 million. And the recommendation at this point is to fund 13 of the 19 ranked requests, totaling $1,499,825. The preliminary budget includes funding the capital plan with $600,000 from tax revenues, $688,825 from free cash, and transferring $211,000 from the special purpose stabilization fund. So when we recap of the preliminary budget, it reflects requests to increase staffing levels for certain departments, includes adding 1 additional police officer, 1 additional career firefighter, restores a facilities position that was eliminated in fiscal 20, adds 8 hours for the assistant town clerk, includes seasonal help for the cemetery, includes an education enforcement coordinator position that is entirely funded by grant funds, includes a part-time minutes clerk position, and it exceeds the Lunenburg Public Schools priority needs identified in the superintendent's 3.23% budget. For the Lunenburg Public Schools, the budget recommendation before you is a 2.5% increase, but as I stated, it meets all of the recommendations in the superintendent's budget that was presented in January, and that's being that it's offset by the $239,000 savings from the health insurance holiday premium. Once we receive our health insurance renewal later this month, this could further increase the funding available within the school budget if the active plan increase is less than 3%. Recently, the state announced a second round of elementary and secondary school emergency relief funding in the amount of $588,834 that will be available to the schools until September 30th of 2023. For Money Tech, the preliminary budget reflects a 2.5% increase, and we will receive our assessment at the beginning of March. And Money Tech also received ESSER 2 funding in the amount of $661,823 that should positively impact our assessment. The preliminary budget presented leaves an unappropriated balance of $494,000 that can backfill any potential increases beyond the target budget estimate for Money Tech assessment, solid waste recycling program increases, and allows flexibility to transfer funds to a health insurance stabilization fund to offset future health insurance funding increases. The preliminary budget recommendation also funds certain increases to address the town's need for increased public safety services for police and fire, staffing needs for the facilities and cemetery divisions under DPW, administrative support needs, funds contractual increases, and adheres to the town's financial policies. The preliminary budget recommendation also exceeds the funding priorities in the proposed superintendent's budget that was presented to the school committee in January. And the recommended budget does not fully meet all the needs requested by the department heads. Given the information known at this point in time in regards to revenue projections and known expenses, the proposed fiscal 22 budget aims to address the needs of the community, maintain the current service levels with some exceptions to address staffing deficiencies, use recurring revenues for the operating budget, meets all the town's financial policies, and ensures long-term fiscal sustainability. The current recommendation also leaves an undesignated balance of $834,000 of free cash that can be used for financial warrant articles, increased funding for the capital plan, and be used on potential fiscal 21 snow and ice deficit if needed, or it can be also deposited into stabilization. As we move forward in the budget process, we will receive certain information such as actual health insurance renewal rates, general insurance renewal rates, and the Monty Tech assessment amount, and the updated amounts for solid waste recycling, and a better picture of the financial state aid, and the budget will be adjusted accordingly. So when we look, these slides are looking ahead. This is a slide I presented in the 5-year financial forecast, just as to show our debt capacity under our different thresholds. The next slide is a chart that shows the 5-year tax rate impact given the current budget. So looking at the tax rate for fiscal 22, the budget as it stands would be a 20 cent increase over the current tax rate. And so looking ahead in the budget calendar, departments will present more in-depth reviews of their programs, services, and needs with their individual presentations, and those begin on February 18th. The House Ways and Means budget is presented or finalized at the end of April. The Senate budget is finalized at the end of May. Our town meeting is Saturday, May 1st. The annual town election is May 15th. And the state budget conference committee is by June 30th, with state aid is typically finalized by July. And this is a schedule of all the individual department meetings with the finance committee. This is also on the town website, right under news and announcements. You'll find that. And I just want to end by thanking everyone that was involved in developing the preliminary budget, including the capital planning committee, that they had invested many hours from September until January to develop the prioritization of capital projects, and they reviewed them in great detail. And I want to thank also the town department heads for all their thoughtful assessment of the needs of their departments and the ways in which they can provide the best possible services to residents and businesses with limited resources. I also want to thank Superintendent Burnham and School Business Manager Mike Cassidy, and they put a lot of effort and thought into a comprehensive staffing plan to address the district's needs. And lastly, I want to thank our finance director, Karen Brochu. She's been instrumental, as always, in this process, and this year participated in all the individual meetings with our departments and school, and I want to thank her for that.
Well, thank you very much. for the presentation tonight. I'd like to open it up to members of the board for questions. I'd like to go in order. So Selectman Adams, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you. That was very thorough. And I do have one small question. Could you summarize how many total new employees would be added through this budget? I know there was an increase to hours for some, but how many would be new?
So 3 full-time. For cemetery seasonal staff, the thought is it would be two seasonal staff, and part-time minutes clerk, but that could be depending on how that's advertised. If current staff had extra hours that they could do that, we could work out that. So it all depends on that scenario. And the education, recycling and solid waste coordinator, that would be entirely grant funded.
And the 3 full-time were the fire?
The fire, police, and facilities.
In the facilities. Okay. And that facilities one was replacing one that had previously been there?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Marino?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And no, I don't have any questions, and it's because I read this before the meeting, and it's, as usual, it was very well thought out, very detailed, so it left really no questions. And of course, having been involved as a department head in this process over the last several years, some things are a little more clear to me than probably somebody who hasn't. So thank you, at least for asking. Appreciate it.
All right, and Mr. Dwyer?
I have no questions at this time. I echo my colleagues' statements that, this is a very thorough budget, and I think it's a very reasonable approach. And, hopefully we can stick this budget and the revenues from the state come in as expected. So that's all. Thank you for your hard work on it, Evan.
And thank you as well to the town manager and to the members of the finance committee for all the work that goes into getting to this point. So I really appreciate that. My questions tonight are rather limited. So the $9,000 for the part-time board committee clerk. So I think this is a sore point for me every time this comes up. Are you open to having this as, I know that you mentioned that using these hours for current staff as an additional kind of duty. Are you open to restricting, if you have outside applicants, restricting that pool to our 55 plus population?
I don't know if we could legally do that. We have tried when you advertise a position like that. But we have tried to go through the senior work-off program with no success. Well,
the rate of reimbursement for that, as I hear, is too low, whereas I imagine you're going to be paying more than $13.50 an hour for this position. Is that a fair assumption?
It would be, not minimum wage position, and but our senior work-off program is now meets state minimum wage rates, but that's considered an abatement on your taxes.
Certainly, I'm not a big fan of hiring someone to take minutes. However, if that position is created and you focus your advertising in areas where seniors congregate, on senior websites, Council of Aging, then hopefully that will appeal to the population in our town who, maybe aren't as interested in the wages that come from the senior work-off program. And then my other comment was about the healthcare stabilization fund. I think that that's a great idea. Certainly, I think that your approach there captures the savings that we're having right now. So I graciously appreciate that. And I can hear former Selectman Luck in my ear right now saying staff, staff, staff. So I'm certainly interested in knowing what the benefit package will be for the staff, not for, I understand for the three full-time staff, but what you expect the benefit package to be for the part-time employees.
They would have they're non-benefited positions.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that presentation and the thoroughness of it.
Thank you.
And since we have members of the public here, I will open it to any members of the public who have any questions regarding the preliminary budget presentation we just saw. All right. Seeing none, thank you again to the town manager.
Welcome.
The next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes for January the 5th, the 12th, and the 19th. I trust that everyone has had the opportunity to review these minutes and will entertain a motion to approve them.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I would second that.
Okay. Any discussion? And a roll call vote. Selectman Adams.
Aye.
Selectman Marino.
Aye.
Selectman Dwyer.
Aye.
And an aye for myself. All right. Next, we also have, the next on the agenda is the approval of the third quarter water commitment. So the documents for this were presented to us in our drive. And to the town manager, would you mind just explaining briefly what this is about and why we do this?
So we have a small area in town where it's not included in the water district, about 6 customers. So these are bills that are committed for those customers that we collect.
Okay. And the total here is $9,412.90.
Correct.
All right. So the action that we're looking for here is the approval of the third quarter commitment. Do we have any questions from any members? All right, so I will entertain a motion to approve the third quarter water commitment in the amount of $9,412.90.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any additional discussion? All in favor, Selectman Adams.
Aye.
Selectman Marino.
Aye.
Selectman Dwyer.
Aye.
And an aye for myself. I want to just rearrange the order of number 4 and 5 in our agenda tonight because I think that may be helpful. So we added in here, I think we recognize that in the absence of the Chairman Alonso, previously the board authorized the chair to sign warrants on behalf of the board, and that would minimize the need for a majority of us to come in to town hall to sign these. In the absence of the chair, we are asking if the board will authorize me as vice chair to sign those warrants in the absence of Chairman Alonso. So I'm looking for a motion for the same.
I'll make a motion that we approve the signing of the warrants by the vice chair in the absence of the chair.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on this? And roll call vote. Selectman Adams.
Aye.
Selectman Marino.
Aye.
Selectman Dwyer.
Aye.
And an aye for myself. So we have warrants, accounts payable warrant number 35, dated February the 2nd in the amount of $352,825.19. We have a payroll deduction warrant number 36 in the amount of, dated February the 3rd, 2021, in the amount of $565,998.03. We have a payroll warrant number 16P21 dated February the 4th, and that's in the amount of $831,028.72. And I will coordinate with the town manager to be available in the morning to sign this. All right, do we have any action items? Selectman Adams.
I would just ask the town manager if it's possible and necessary to maybe meet with the water department regarding the pavement moratorium and issues we may have as a municipality with the developer's need to use our public roadways to accomplish what he's trying to do. Ultimately, what's happening at this point is the project only benefits the developer, not any residents of the town. So I think we need to step in and be involved from our perspective to see what's going on here.
Certainly, I made a note when you made your public comment that I'd reach out to the water district superintendent tomorrow, as well as the DPW director.
Thank you. And I think it's wonderful that they're going to try another community meeting. I think using your Zoom is a great idea. Hopefully we can run it more like one of these meetings. And I mean, I have a lot of concerns with meeting accessibility at this point anyways, because there's a real limitation to participation if people can't navigate Zoom. And some of us have been living a Zoom lifestyle for a year, and it's become very commonplace, and we do it for work and activities. And then some people still haven't crossed over. And so I definitely feel now this strain after nearly a year of not being able to offer people another way. So whether we can, I'm not sure what the right answer is, but, submit written questions ahead of time, or the way we can pull in some type of feedback proactively to bring to the meeting for people that can't get into the Zoom. I'm not sure, but it definitely felt very disappointing. And even though it has nothing to do with the community outreach meeting, the water district special meeting had to be in person because it was a vote. And so there was about 50 people came together for that meeting. And the amount of communication and questions and back and forth, it just felt so invigorating to be at a real meeting where people could wander in, raise their hand, get some feedback. And so we're definitely lost with the world of participation. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts when it comes to like that community meeting, how we can make it feel more satisfying in the sense that we actually are having outreach. It's impossible for me to feel any sense of that anymore.
Yeah, just to add on to that, through you,
Yes.
acting chair. This was not like our meeting. It was their meeting by state regulations. We offered to assist in getting the word out as much as possible for that first meeting by putting it on Facebook, putting it on the website, setting it for public access, any way we could, announcing it at every meeting. And that's why after this last one, offering up our forum is, I think, a better platform with our toll-free number as part of that, because I think that's a key component of accessibility for those people that don't have internet, and can use that as another way to communicate and participate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to also just support Selectman Adams' request for us to discuss, have a meeting with the water district. I think that would be very beneficial. Are there any additional action items? All right. I have one. At the last meeting, I brought up a question about the emergency response plan for the fuel tanks. So I did get a response on those. Those are also known as the Spill Prevention, Control, and Countermeasure Plan. So that's in the process of being completed this week. And this is federally required due to the above ground tanks being over 1,320 gallons. So the plan will include training and information once complete, and will be provided to both this board and to the Conservation Commission. And the implementation of this will be managed by the fire department and the Department of Public Works. Also, as a second action item, I forwarded draft language I've been working on with town council to Chairman Alonso for discussion at a future meeting. This is a revision to the APD bylaw that will resolve the impasse of when the town and APDC are not in agreement insofar as municipal buildings and uses are concerned. Currently, the only remedy available to us is general court, and certainly the town has no interest in suing itself. So that will be discussed at an upcoming meeting. Are there any additional action items from any other members? Mr. Dwyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to have to hop off here shortly. I wanted to give a quick report on the planning board. I know I'm jumping ahead to committee reports, but I'm going to have to jump off here in just a second to deal with personal.
Yeah, please.
So I reached out to the planning board, and right now there are 3 things that they wanted to highlight at the meeting tonight. One, they're working through reviewing and updating their rules and regulations for the subdivision of land. They're going through those rules and regulations section by section, and they're going to keep moving through it until they have a completely updated document. Second, they're reviewing section 250-6.1 of the Code of Lunenburg to update the way the parking requirements are calculated for use through the town. And the third, it appears the Economic Development Committee is getting closer to having a quorum. Both the Open Space Committee and the AdCom have potentially interested parties. And once both are seated, the EDC can begin the meeting. So I apologize, I have to go, but that's what I had tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dwyer. It's understandable. I think we're toward the end of the meeting anyway.
Yep.
So thank you. Do we have any additional committee reports? Okay. I have a couple, not a couple, I have one. The Council of Aging had a meeting this morning. So I want to extend a sincere thanks to Sue Doherty and Pauline Roy for assisting seniors with signing up to get the COVID-19 vaccination. They've been inundated with calls, and certainly we're thankful for their hard work and diligence. So as a reminder, only those in our community who are age 75 and above can sign up, and there's no pre-waiting list for those who are not now eligible. As of yesterday, the van service is back in operation, and any senior looking to make an appointment should contact the Senior Center at 978-582-4166. So on the 5th, there was a personal emergency bag pickup that provided seniors with a backpack that contained items needed in the event of a community emergency or a power outage, such as a flashlight, batteries, emergency blanket, hand warmers, a Red Cross disaster preparedness booklet, and other items. So certainly I think that was a great thing to be able to offer. And I encourage our seniors to please check the calendar of events posted on the Council of Aging for upcoming activities. A few highlights are the free grab and go breakfast, which is going to be tomorrow from 9 to 10. The Zoom book club is on the 16th at 10 a.m. And this month's book is The Weight of Ink by Rachel Kadish. I think I said that last name right. There's also a free take-home tea party that's going to be happening on the 17th at 1 p.m. And this is a drive-through event, and you can have your personalized tea that will be delivered to your car. But please be sure to RSVP for that event and contact the Senior Center at 978-582-4166. And in the meeting, there was a question earlier about town retirees and having access to having questions about their benefits. So any town retiree with questions about their health insurance should reach out to Nancy Forrest. And any questions about general benefits, please contact Sharon Migliosi. And I'm going to spell that. Her email address is Sharon, SHARON .Migliosi. That's M like Michael, IGLIOZZI at AOL.com. And that is all that I have for committee reports. Old business. Discussion of fiscal year 2022 budget, the capital plan, financial forecast, annual town meeting warrant articles. I know that we're going to be discussing this at the upcoming meetings, but do we have any discussion on this tonight from any members? Okay. And to the town manager for your report and the COVID-19 update.
Yes, thank you. I'll start with my report. Announcement of existing vacancies. There is one vacancy in the Architectural Preservation District Commission, 4 vacancies on the Bylaw Review Committee, 1 vacancy on the Cultural Council, 1 vacancy on the Historical Commission, 1 vacancy on the TCP Building Design Committee, and 1 vacancy on the Senior Work-Off Program Committee, and 1 associate vacancy on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Interested people can contact or find the application forms on the town website, complete them, and send them back to the Select Board's office. ADA self-evaluation and transition plan update. I received a draft copy of the ADA self-evaluation portion of the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan that Montechusett Regional Planning Commission is drafting through district local technical assistance funding that we received last year. I'll be circulating this to the appropriate staff to review and comment on, and then MRPC will work with our building commissioner to review the recommendations and the associated costs to bring those items into compliance. Invitation for bids and requests for proposals. The assistant town manager will be putting out an invitation for bids for landscaping services that will be due on April 15th. And the bids for cleaning services for town buildings are due February 18th. You already updated the board about the fuel tank. I have included that in my report as well. Announcement of meetings, events, and other announcements. As Selectman Adams stated, the Water District has a meeting on Wednesday, February 10th at 4 p.m. The Conservation Commission has a meeting on Zoom on Wednesday, February 10th at 6:30 p.m. Sorry, that should state the school committee, not the Conservation Commission. And the ZBA has a meeting on Zoom on Wednesday, February 10th at 7 p.m. The Finance Committee has a meeting on Zoom on Thursday, February 11th at 7 p.m. to hear a preliminary budget presentation. And as a reminder, town offices will be closed on Monday, February 15th in observance of President's Day. On to COVID-19 updates. Board of Health issued their weekly update, and the cumulative confirmed cases in town as of February 5th was 569 cases and 1 death. The state report shows 560 cases as of February 2nd. And this is an increase of 23 cases from the previous week. So as you can see, we're trending down, which is good. Update on vaccination clinics for residents 75 and older. Tomorrow, the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health will be running another vaccination clinic in Devens for residents in the member communities that are 75 and older. Similar to last week, they had a very limited supply of vaccines available for this clinic, and the Eagle House senior community staff has helped schedule these appointments for 16 available slots for Lunenburg residents. They have been advertising how to get on the wait list, and a code red call went out yesterday. And after that call went out, they were, as Selectman Jeffries stated, they were inundated with calls. And currently there is a waiting list of 176 people for the next available clinic or clinics. The next scheduled clinic at Devens for residents 75 and older will be Wednesday, February 24th. And residents aged 75 and older can get on the waiting list by calling 978-582-4166. The state also activated a vaccination call center last Friday, and persons 75 and older can now call 211 to speak with someone at the call center to set up an appointment. The call center hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. The state also reported today that they've booked 2,000 appointments so far through that call center and are looking at expanding the hours of the call center. First responder second dose clinic on Wednesday, February 17th and Saturday, February 20th. The Neshoba Associated Boards of Health will be holding their a second clinic for the second dose for first responders in Boxborough. Last week, I had updated the board about regional discussion on a vaccination rollout and the problems that we're seeing as a region with lack of vaccine in clinics. And we had a follow-up meeting. The town administrators and town managers from the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health districts, all 17 of us, with our legislators and Jim Garaffi of Neshoba Associated Boards of Health. And Jim provided information on the vaccination clinics that have been done so far, the ones that are forthcoming, the process that he's experiencing with the state, the fact that as a district, we're getting the same number of doses as an individual town is getting. So 17 towns are allotted 100 vaccine doses, where an individual community that's not in a health district is getting the same number. So this is all recognized by our legislators. They're advocating for us as well. Representative Harrington has taken the lead to address the lack of vaccines for our area with DPH and with the administration. And she's been working with Maisie Bioservices of Pepperell. And they, because that's what they're in the industry for, they have availability of 420 freezers that can store the Pfizer vaccine and 450 freezers that could store the Moderna vaccine. So Jim Garaffi is going to meet with the owner, and the legislators through Representative Harrington will support advocating for a mass vaccination site at Devens and an increase in our vaccination allotment to this region. The town administrators and town managers of Neshoba Valley will write a letter to the governor, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary Mary Lou Sutters regarding creating a mass vaccination site located in Devens, a partnership with Maisie Bioservices for storage of large quantities of vaccines, the expressed need for increased doses to the 17 communities that make up the Neshoba Valley Health District. And the letter will also relay that we're committed to establishing a professional regional vaccine distribution center, which will proactively and effectively administer the COVID-19 vaccine, as well as the interest of the public health and safety of our populations, and the safety of the overall benefit of the region and the Commonwealth. So in state and federal updates, the number of cases in Massachusetts as of February 4th was 507,166 cases, 14,489 deaths, 13,955,444 patients have been tested to date. And on our biweekly briefing today, Lieutenant Governor stated that cases are down by 59% from the peak, and that Massachusetts currently has a 2.96 positivity rate. So all trending in the right direction. The remainder of this report is all information about the vaccine rollout, the number of current sites. There are 125 vaccination sites that can be found on the state site, mass.gov COVID vaccine. So you can go on to that site and an interactive map to find all the sites, including the mass vaccination sites. So there are 7 sites, mass vaccination sites as of now. They also promoted the number of doses that'll be given to pharmacies, as well as other providers. So to just keep recommending to people to contact your primary provider as well. Another update from the state was the executive order on the capacity at businesses to increase that from 25 to 40% capacity. And this includes arcades and recreational businesses, driving and flight schools, gyms and health clubs, libraries, museums, retail, offices, places of worship, lodging, golf, and movie theaters. This does not change the gathering size limits this time. That's all I have for updates tonight.
Thank you for that. And I assume that this will be posted on the town website as well?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you for those updates. It's good to hear that we're moving in the right direction in terms of COVID-19. And I certainly hope that we can get the vaccination situation resolved. I know that, 100 vaccines for 17 towns is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, okay, for upcoming meeting schedules, we have a meeting next Tuesday, February the 16th. We have a workshop on appointments. So any two of my fellow board members, if you have any recommendations, please be sure to forward those over to Chairman Alonso and the town manager. We have upcoming meeting on March the 2nd, March the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd. We also have a community outreach meeting for Greenleaf. That's going to happen on March the 10th as well. Any public comments from the public tonight? All right. We don't have too much public here tonight. Any public comments from the board? Okay, seeing none. So I want to thank my fellow board members for the opportunity to serve as your interim chairman tonight. And I will certainly entertain a motion to adjourn.
Good job, Mike.
Thanks.
And Heather, you too, of course. Goes without saying, I guess.
Great job, Selectman Jeffries.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And is there a second?
Second.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Selectman Adams,
Aye.
Selectman Marino,
Aye.
and an aye for myself. So thank you again. And I certainly wish that all of you at home have a wonderful evening. We'll see you again next week. Thank you.
Thank
Aye.
you.